Good morning, Vietnam! How are we doing? It's your boy Trey coming back again for another freaking video. And today we're going to be giving you an update on freaking AMC and what's been going down, right? We had a red day today, down about 4.19%. Intraday, it was actually a pretty scary looking flush. It was a nasty flush to the downside, about $25.31. But for the most part, this is still respecting TA very, very well. And I'm going to touch on that as we get into the video. And I want to give you some reassurance, some points to look for, because that did get touched on all the level points, right? That I mapped out on the previous video. This speed line right here, these two channels, they're being respected. And that means something, right? It means these are points to watch for that are going to apply future price action into the future, apply to future price action in the future. But before we get into that, little fun fact for you. This shirt, Doki Doki Shiteru, that actually means in Japanese, my heart is beating fast. So welcome to Trey's Trades, where we freaking talk fast and our hearts are beating fast. You know how it goes. I like to preface by saying I'm not financial advice. Do what you gotta do. Make your best decisions for yourself financially. Please do not over leverage yourself. I just want everybody to be able to sleep well at night, right? That's the most important thing for me. So we're gonna go over, starting off here with the Ortex data. I touched on this previously, right? I'm touching on this a lot more because I can tell, I can feel that there's a lot of people who just need reassurance in terms of the big picture of things. And you don't need that coming from me, right? You guys already know what you're looking at, but if you want somebody to tell you, the exact same thing, the short interest is still going up. There's a very obvious trend here. The yellow line being the short interest, you can see this has gone up over the past couple of days, that we've seen this downwards pressure. And that does make sense when you look at the overall volume on AMC stock, right? Consider this. If you look at the overall volume on the stock, you see an uptick on this downside pressure. Now, there's two different possibilities here. Either A, that means that retail is selling, or B, it means that there's shorts selling. And when there's shorts selling, that would spike up an increase in volume. And that makes sense when you look at the overall short interest increasing on a day-to-day basis, such as it has, right? Looking at that shares on loan, it's up 7% nearly on a 7-day period of time. You look at the short interest, that is up about 7% on a 1-week period of time. Free float on loan, 7%. You get the picture here. There are shorts that are purposely going out of their way to add to the volume, to purposefully try to push price down to specific levels. And this is essentially where computers and algorithms do what they do. Because look at the stock, right? Look at the price, look at the charts. This is very obviously a significant level to watch for. This is a level in which you have to make a purposeful decision and a purposeful move to push a stock down, right? That comes from short sellers. That comes from institutions. That is what you're watching happen right now. It's ammunition getting loaded into the freaking revolver, and they're spinning it, 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 right? You're watching that happen. Days to cover. This is short interest divided by some sort of time frame. In this case, on this chart, it is 3 months. That is the highest short interest that we have seen since back in January. Or days to cover since back in January. It's very, very high. It was much higher before that. This would have been back in what looks to be January 7th. But the day of the actual decent size move to $25, right? That's what it was. I mean, the days to cover was at 1.10, which just shows you how difficult it's going to be for shorts to get out of positions when there is a nice size move. And I know. It's very easy for me to sit behind the screen and say, well, Trey, it's still selling off, right? But as we all know, just the same as a stock cannot go up forever, a stock cannot go down forever. This is an ebb and flow of the cycle of AMC. Now, I've talked about this before very briefly, but I think it's important to note that I think, and I truly do think, that AMC is going to squeeze a lot like Tesla in cycles. And what do I mean by that? I mentioned this back in videos in March. And what I mean by that is not necessarily the way that it's going to do it, but in the cyclic manner. Tesla has gone through large bull cycles, bear cycles, bull cycles, bear cycles, retracements, and next moves, right? It's done that for a very long period of time, and ultimately bringing it up to $1,200 at its peak. And in that same way, I think what you're seeing with AMC is very similar to that. So if I was to pull up, for example, Tesla right now, and we were looking at the overall Tesla short interest, it's not going to look the same in terms of numbers for Tesla, but I'd imagine that you see there are ebbs and flows, right? Ebbs and flows in terms of short interest. You see this cyclic sort of nature for shorts piling into positions. Very, very high short interest back here, right? Sitting at freaking 10.71% of the overall float. And then as they exit, it gets a nice leg up. They start to establish some more over here, gets a nice leg up, right? You get the point of this. I do truly think that is what you're watching with AMC. And this dives into a theory that many apes have been talking about. Many smart people, much more intelligent than myself, which is Wyckoff theory, right? The idea of you being against one entity within the stock market, which is composite, man. And I'm going to dig into that more at some given point, but the entire nature of what I'm talking about here is this is a part of that cyclic nature, that cyclic journey. And it can be hard to watch, right? But if there's anything that's going to make you rest easier, it's confidence in the setup, right? It's confidence in the due diligence. And you can borrow that from me. Absolutely. You 150,000% can. And that's what I'm here for, right? I'm here for you guys to borrow confidence if you need it. But in the same way, you can instill that confidence in yourself if you know levels to watch for, right? So what am I looking at? Here's what I see. You look at the 4-hour chart, and this is still a potential reversal setup. And the reasoning behind that is from these different speed lines. Here's one in particular, right? This speed line derives from a touch point here, a touch point here, a touch point here, a breakthrough, and then that was acting as resistance, now acting as support. You fast forward, right? What do you see now? Well, in that same way that it was being respected as a resistance, now it is acting as a support. You can see that very clearly. Touch point, touch point, touch point, false breakdown, and a hold. Now what you would like to see is a break out of this channel. These descending levels of resistance acting as speed lines. You want to break over those levels to confirm essentially a reversal back into some different territory and water. Now, in yesterday's video, I said this particular level, this green box, is very important because if we break beneath that, that is downward pressure. That could bring you to the downside a little ways. And you did get a false breakdown underneath that, right? You can see that very clearly right here. But the nice thing about this is that reversal and the respecting of this line right here, right? This is very technical. You can see this rejection off of this downside level of resistance, a rejection on this upside level of support. And it's just hovering between this sort of little wedge setup that you see right here, right? Check this out. That's pretty much a picture perfect sort of wedge that you get where it's respecting these different levels. So heading into Monday or maybe even Tuesday, right? It's going to break either hard up or hard down in either direction. If it was to break down, right? What do you want to watch for? What's the particular levels to see? Well, I'm going to change this back to the 4-hour chart and I'm going to show you where you get the next little hesitation, the next little bit of chop. This is going to be back here, right? So what I would particularly label would be different demand zones. This right here, to me, would be considered a demand zone. It's the choppy sort of consolidation-esque price action before a decent size move up. That, to me, would be a level in which you could expect some sort of a potential reversal. In the same way, you have that here. Potential chop/consolidation before a decent size move up. Both of these zones, to me, are spots in which you could see this move back to the upside. Now, this one's already been broken, right? So that would leave us this one. And if it was to come back down here, what you're looking at, no bullshit, straight up, $19.76, right? You also get some chop right here, down to that $24 level. So here's another one where you get, I'd say it's a little less strong than the previous one, but this does still act as some form of a demand zone where you could potentially see some form of a bounce. And you can already see that it kind of respected that, right? That $25-ish level in which it's bounced off of previous price action from back in May, right? It touched that. It touched that and it got a nice little decent sized bounce off of it. And that demand zone acted in a very positive manner. You can see that right here, right? Touched damn near the bottom of that level and then just bounced right back up. That's what you're looking at, right? For the downside. Upside, what do you want to see? As I stated in yesterday's video, you want to break over both of these descending levels of resistance. That's what I'm particularly watching for. And I can't tell you with certainty, right? I said in yesterday's video, it could happen that day, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen the next day. This is a potential reversal setup. I think you're close to the bottom. I really do. To be blunt with you, I said yesterday that I thought this was the bottom right here at 27.58. And I was wrong. It did not stop at 27.58, but it was a false breakdown off of that level. It didn't hold it into the end of the day, which is a positive thing, right? That is a potential reversal setup. There's no other, potential way that I can really say that is don't stress. This is technical. This is shorts purposefully, intentionally pushing price down, and it's on a chart, right? You can see the specific levels in which it's trying to hold. The most confidence that I can give to you, the best message that I can give to you is to believe in what you know, believe in what you've taught others, believe in the due diligence and the time that has gone into this, and believe in your neighbors and in the community. Borrow strength from others, learn from others, learn from all the mistakes that I've made or that others have made, and the successes that I've had and the successes that others have had, right? We're all here for each other. Lean on each other. It's okay to do that, right? Suppose that's what I've got for this video. So I'm gonna go get myself a burger. and probably play a few video games and hang out. I hope you guys all have a freaking fantastic weekend. Catch you on the next one. Much love, light taps. Peace.